Tell me about how the Boar's Head got started.
And I had only been at St. Paul a couple of months maybe, and Michael Beatty came into my office one day and he said, "Have you ever heard of a Boar's Head festival?" Well, I had not. And he attempted to explain it to me. He had come to St. Paul from Youngstown, Ohio, where a church of another denomination had one, and there was one in Cincinnati that he had seen that had been going for many years. I think now that one's been going well over 50 years. And so he described to me that it was like a medieval pageant, but woven into it was the biblical story of the birth of Christ and his going forth into the world. So we just embarked on this. We set aside one Sunday night during Advent and thought we'd have a nice Sunday night program for the congregation. Well, we had to have costumes, and we didn't have any costumes. So there was a lady in the church who owned a sewing shop, and she let us have the workroom in her sewing shop, and we recruited people to sew costumes and started making costumes and recruiting actors and actresses, and the choir started rehearsing the music. Well, it grew and grew and grew, and people began to talk about it till about 2 weeks before it was scheduled. Michael came in, he said, "I'm worried. I don't think we've got enough seats for all these people." St. Paul, although it appears to have a large congregation, can seat only about 450 if you have everybody crammed in there. So he said, "Let's try 2 performances." So we decided a performance, I think, at 4, and that we would offer a dinner at 6, and then a performance after dinner at 8. And we asked Mastersons to cater the dinner. Well, that was such a success, much to our own surprise, that we had people standing in the street waiting to get in at that first festival. And so the next year we went to 4 performances on 2 nights, and the third year we went to 6 performances. And Michael said that's all a volunteer choir could manage. So it has stayed at 6 performances all these years.
St. Paul has always been really, I think, very strong at outreach, but it sounds like that was the beginning of
it was the beginning,
that's been
yes.
Growing and growing.
Yes.
So, were there other things that you guys did with that much outreach that impacted that many people that you think of? Or?
No, and really the purpose of the Boar's Head Festival was to involve a lot of people all at once, which is hard to do in a large church. Mm-hmm. And it took, by the time, the second year, St. Paul people said we could cook a better dinner than Mastersons. And so they began to study about medieval foods and dinners, and we put a team together. We had a lady who was in charge of the kitchens at GE, and one who was on the food staff at the Courier-Journal, and they headed up the kitchen staff and put together a menu that was essentially an Old English dinner.
So it was as much about making interconnections within the church
right.
as it was about reaching people outside
I heard
the church.
people in the kitchen where they were peeling potatoes, and one lady said, "You must be new here." And the lady standing next to her said, "I've been here 35 years. How long have you been here?"